Yeah, I show you the JSON external view. Some of the data sets are available in the GitHub. And yeah, nowadays there are many government sites provide the data set, so you can do some analysis on that data set. And what you can do next is how we can see the JSON external view with the AJAX. So I will show you a very simple AJAX, which is the asynchronous JavaScript and XML. And I will use one of the famous, the popular JavaScript table. We call it DataTable. The DataTable you can access from this link, datatable.net. This DataTable is free for you to use. You can have a very fancy table, and you can just call with the CSS. The CSS means the style, and then you can access the JavaScript. So the JavaScript contains like the jQuery, and you can have a lot of SQL function here. For example, if you want to filter some data, let's say you can see this table and you have a lot of data, and I want to search Tokyo. So only office located in Tokyo will appear. And if you want to search position accountant, so you can change your query and it will show based on your searching keyword. So based on this one, I think it is good if you learn a little bit about the data table. And let's say if you later use some table for your team project, you can also try with this data table. Using the data tables, we can add advanced interaction controls. We can add advanced interaction controls to HTML tables with free and easy way. So the data tables is free, but I'm not sure whether they will give for free for forever. At least until now it is free, so you can use it. And when we call the function, we need to call using this kind of mechanism. The dollar means the query. Okay, we can use the jQuery, and then we want to call the document, and if it is ready, then we will call we call this is the index my table. So whenever you make an ID in your HTML, you can define the index. So this index or the ID my table will be shared into the data table. So let's do with this code. You can update in the views.py. I have a render request for the view.json.html. So I will update the views. So I want to view the JSON, and the view JSON will be in the HTML file. And yeah, I would like to put this. Okay, I would like to put a new link view JSON in the path, and please don't forget to import the view JSON here. So this is in the URLs. You have the view JSON link, and then I want to access the function view JSON, and I put this view JSON for omitting the errors, because if I don't call the method, if I don't call the method, if I don't call the function, it does not show any correction. Okay? So this one should have the function that you want to run. Now you can make your HTML. Okay, I'm just updating this one. We will see one by one. The HTML file name will be viewjson.html, as I put here, viewjson.html. So you will make a new file, which is an HTML file, viewjson. And let's run first to see the result. Okay, here you can access the link. Oh, I need to run my computer. Okay, I need to run the PyCharm, and then yeah, as you can see now, there is a table. Okay. So this is the table from the data table, and then you will see the name of the book. Where is this one? Where is this data? This is the data that we created in the book data.json. So this is the JSON that we have. This is the JSON that we created in the first part of our course. We have Python, and the authors are 2 person, and the date is 2013, and the publisher is Springer. So we have the second book, information system, and we have the third book, which is the database. Now I use this JSON to show into a table. I do not want to show only the JSON part, but I want to show it in the table. So we call this is the front end. When you see any job requirement, front end designer, okay, or front end developer, then the role of the front end designer or the front end developer will be something related to this visual. You need to show in your HTML, you need to make a user interface for the user, for the client. In this case, I have 3 books based on my JSON file, and you can search. So it is like database. So when I search data, then it will appear the database book. If I write Python, yeah, I will see the Python. And we need to see the code. For the views.py, we just go to the HTML. It means I don't do anything in the backend. Okay. We call this PyCharm is the backend. And nothing to do in the backend. I will do more on the front end. So what is the front end? The front end will be in this HTML. And if you check on this HTML, I have the script to get the JavaScript. And then I have the data table. So this is the datatable.css. It means you can define the style that you want to use for your table. And then you can have the JavaScript. So this JavaScript means is to connect between your front end to the database. Now you will see in the body part, there is one table. And this table is called as example. The ID is example and the class is display because I just use the JavaScript from data tables. I can select any class. So the class display is the table that you see on your web browser. Now in our table, we have the header. We have three headers: title, date, and publisher. So we just define our table with the header. Then where is the data? So the data will be based on the script. We use the JavaScript to extract the data. First, I will use dollar. The dollar means this is the tag for the jQuery. We call this the tag for the jQuery. So I would like to see the document. The document means the web page. If it is ready, so once you can run your web page, then it means ready. You can put on the example. What is example? It is the ID of the table. So you can see the example and the data table here is the information that you want to put on its row and on its of the column. So here we would like to use the AJAX. So the AJAX is this is the syntax in these data tables. We want to use the JavaScript asynchronous and the URL. What is the URL? This is the link that you used before to see the JSON file. Okay. And then data source. What is the data source? We will have a lot of data source, but we are going to use book. So the data source book means this is the key in this JSON. As you might know, JSON have key value. And after we have this book, we have the information about the title, which is Python, and the author, and the date, and the publisher. So this is one value in a list. And then what we can do next is to select based on the column. Okay. So based on the columns, we have three columns: title, date, and publisher. So the first data, which is after the list, the first data will be the title. What is the title? This one is the title. And the next data will be the date. Next data will be the date. And the next data will be the publisher. Okay. So we extract those three data and we want to put it into the table, and this is the API. We use the two of this CSS and JS, and it will be always like this one. And you can check the updates from the website. For example, here, I used the previous version. So now you can see this is the updated version. Now it is the version 1.12. Okay. So in my case, I use 1.10, so it's quite old. If you want to check whether we can use the newest one or not, 1.12.0. So let me use 1.12.0. Okay, I can change this one. And I change also 1.12.0. Okay, now let me check. Oh. Okay, then it is still the same like this one. If you want to change, I guess you need to change the class. Okay, the class, there are several class. I do not know the details. You can check what other class that is good for you. I think you can also see on this data tables. In the previous version, actually, they have more examples. You can see in these examples. Yeah, you can have what do you want to see. Let's say I want to see multiple tables. So the first table is in the upper part and the second table is in the below part. And they give you this information like the JavaScript, and then what is the HTML. Okay, most probably they use display. And what is the CSS. This is what we call as the HTML, the dynamic HTML, what I mentioned to you before. If you want to have an advanced, so you can have some kind of event. So some event means, yeah, when some order, we don't have any order here. So if there is an order, then what will you do? So they have some kind of more contents on the syntax. Yeah, if you are willing to learn more JavaScript, they provide many kind of examples, so you can easily follow the procedure. Okay. Yeah, I just explained this one. The example is the result that will be shown in the ID sharp example, and we will use the data table. We will display using the data table, and this is the JSON source. So if you have another JSON source, you might refer to this JSON source. And then this is the parent key, and this is the children key. Now, how if I use the external JSON? Let's say I want to use this following JSON. This is a movie information. Okay, now it is so complex. How can you understand this one? What information you want to extract? Usually, if there are some kind of JSON like this, yeah, the data provider will give you the data dictionary. For example, the data.go.kr, they will give you the data dictionary. Okay, so I'm sorry for the foreign students. This is the foreign website. So let's say if I want to check the JSON and XML, yeah, they have this structure. What is the first column? What is the second column? And so on. So whenever you use the JSON, then you use this API. Maybe this one is the API. Let's see. I'm not sure if they open. Oh, okay, so they open like this one. Then what does it mean? How can I know the each of this information? Then you will see that okay, the title is this one is Hangyong Sanap Kisul 1. Then it means this is the information about the website or something. And then yeah, you can follow all the structure. Sometimes they give you only a few data, and if you want to get more data, you need to apply this one, like the apply. And yeah, sometimes they will give you like yeah, this is the guidance to get the data. And if you take a look on this kind of data, yeah, let's say I want to use the Open API. Yeah, there are some kind of this one API overview. So this API overview, they will give you what is the meaning by page and how many data per page, and then what is the return type. The return type is string. And then when you want to use the JavaScript, they give you this kind of definition. Of course, you need to understand what is the meaning. Like this is the Hakmyeong, the university name, Hakjepyeol, Soripyeol, and so on. And you can use this kind of data in your AJAX. So if they give you some kind of template like that one, then you can just reuse it for your purpose. So if you have idea to get some data from the Gonggong data like this one, yeah, it is good because you can, as a Korean, you can get a lot of data from this government site, and you can do many things with your analysis or something related to data science and etc. Now I will just use this one. This is the movie. Yeah, this is the movie that maybe it is difficult to see all the contents, but I will give you what will be the structure. So I think you now know how to get the structure. If it is based on the Gonggong data, you can get the structure. If it is based on the other government site, you can also get the structure. Okay? But for now, I will just use my code. I assume that you already know the structure, and I will just extract only 4 items. So let me copy and paste this one, and I will put it into the view JSON.html. The other part is the same. I use the jQuery, and then I use the DataTables CSS. I use the DataTables JS, and I have the table. Now I define the header with 4 attributes: ID, title, language, and date. And you can see I use the new JSON link. And I define the parent key. What is the parent key? This is result. If you check, okay, if you search this one, results. Okay, there is one definition of results. So it seems that, yeah, when you are checking this movie list, it shows only the result from this section. So all of them are the results. And I would like to get the columns related to ID, title, language, and real estate. Okay. Now let me try. If I refresh the view JSON, still loading. It doesn't move. Loading. Let me check. Okay. Now you can see. Okay. Yeah. The access has been blocked. Okay. No access control allow origin. So even though they share the code, but I cannot access it. So why I cannot access it? Okay, anyway, yeah, I cannot get the result. So actually this is the result. Let me try one more time. Maybe I need to change this one to this. So it is not result, but details. Let me check. Maybe they updated something. It cannot read. Okay, should be back to result. Let's see. Okay, now it works. Okay. Okay, you can see now it shows the the latest movie is on, what is this? What is the date? Maybe this is in November, 3 November. This movie will release. Yeah. And you can go to number 2. Yeah. So those are the movie that will be released in the future. So let's say if I click, if I want to know the flash. So there are two kind of the flash. Yeah, this is from the public. What is the difference? Wait a moment. Ah, they have the security chains. Okay, originally it is not this is the originally I don't put HTTPS, but now they require the HTTPS. So you can just change with additional S, so everything will be fine. Okay. Yeah, the view will be something like this one. So you already see. Now, if we want to see the REST framework, let's say I have the data and the data is in the REST framework, not in the JSON. So I can also do with this information. Again, I didn't do anything on the back end. I will just make one HTML file. Okay. And after I make the HTML file, let me create one more link in the URLs. And then I will make the view REST here. So I will make one new function on the views.py, and then I create one new link in this section, and I create view rest.html. So I create a view rest.html. I create an HTML file. I create view rest.html, and then I can paste the code here. So the information that we get, it was the post related content. If you still remember, this is the API, and we are using the REST framework. In the REST framework, we can do some modification. We can see the data, and then we can see the particular data, let's say 1. So I can see only the data number 1. We can see all the data, and I want to show this data into the web. Okay, so the result will be like this one. You can view the view REST. Yeah, this is based on the data on the REST framework. In the REST framework, we have 3 posts. Okay, the first post title is first post, and the content is hello world, and the second is the second post, and the content is functional world, and the third is third post. The content is algorithm block. And if you put all of them into this HTML, so you can see there are 3. Okay. Because I just want to get the title and the content, so the table contains only the title and the content. And I'm just using this API. This API is using the REST framework. And then what is the data source? The data source is blank. If you take a look on the data source here, it's blank. There is no root. So when you have no root, you can just keep blank, and then you can try to extract what are the information inside this JSON. Now I have this REST framework. I don't have any JSON for this one. And you can see any key for this one. The other things are the same with the JSON. For example, here, I want to create into, I want to extract the data into table. And I'm using the document. And if the website is ready, then run this function. Okay, then this is the end of this PowerPoint slide. We learned about XML and JSON, two most important data format in the web programming. And we learned how to use the Django REST framework. And also we learned a part of the AJAX, okay, asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Okay, let's have a break. I will continue after the break.